Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining today, and welcome, panelists. I am Kathy Sherrick. I'm the executive editor for PowerToFly, and today we're discussing an exciting hackathon about the future of collaborative teams. I'm joined by the executives on the Distribute Hack team. I have Rob Duffy from Time Inc., Ryan Milinex from NBBJ Architects. They're both in Seattle. And I have Milena Berry, who is the CEO of Power2Fly. So Milena is in New York City. Welcome, everybody. I'd love to start this off with some introductions. So Rob Duffy, can you start us?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rob Duffy. I'm from Time Incorporated. We run some of the largest publishing brands, magazines and websites and digital experiences, some of the Time, Sports Illustrated, People, Entertainment Weekly. Real simple. I can name all 91, but I'll spare you the chore of doing that. Within Time Inc., I'm responsible for two programs, primarily one, Time Inc. Everywhere, which is a project with the vision of distributing all of our digital content to every device where an audience exists. So literally, if you get in your car, or you get in, you turn on your TV, you pick up a phone, whatever, then we have our content on those devices. And then the second is the editorial innovation side of the business, which I work closely with a group called The Foundry, and we launched some of our more forward-looking digital experiences. Last year we launched The Drive, which is for car enthusiasts, and this year we'll be launching Extra Crispy, which is a breakfast-centric vertical, and also Equipped, which is a sort of gear and tech vertical. So we'll have the world's first bacon correspondent. We're kicking off the hunt for that a little bit later this year. It's a very fun brand, so if you're into Bloody Marys and you want to join the testing team, hit me up.
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely into Bloody Marys and croissants, so that's very exciting. Next over to Ryan. Ryan, please tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure, I'm Ryan Milinex. I'm a design partner in our Seattle office of NBBJ. We've got 10 offices around the world, and so the hackathon we're about to share with you, talk to you about, is perfect for the type of work that we do, kind of distributed in different time zones. I help lead the part of our practice that focuses on the way that people work, why they work, what encourages them to do that, how they do so as individuals, how they collaborate as teams, some of the provocations, the things that pique their curiosity throughout the course of the day. We've been fortunate to work with some of the top tech companies that are really scratching their head around these issues as well. Mobility, well-being within the workplace factor in, as well as just the social nature of how we do the things we do and why we do it. Those are all kind of front of mind for us and a big part of how we think.
Oh, super fascinating. Milena, over to you.
Well, hi, everybody. So I'm Milena Berry, the co-founder and CEO of PowerToFly. As you may know, we are a recruiting platform connecting women in tech from all over the world to companies working at the heart of the innovation economy. So we connect the best women in tech to the best companies. I'm an immigrant. I immigrated to the United States from Bulgaria 15 years ago, and I came here to study robotics, wearables, and social networks at NYU's Interactive Telecommunications program, led by the legendary Red Burns, who was dubbed by many the mother of Silicon Alley. Prior to co-founding PowerToFly, I worked for 7 years as the Chief Technology Officer at Avaz.org, which is an online activist community with more than 45 million members now. And I'm proud to say that I stayed in the workforce while giving birth to 3 kids in 5 years, thanks to the fact that Avaz was a distributed organization from day one. So that's it for me.
Well, thank you so much for the introductions and for telling me a little bit about all you guys. Rob, let's start with you for the first question. You manage a team that is distributed around the world. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and also tell us what you're looking to see from this hackathon?
Sure. So my team is distributed across, the East Coast, the West Coast. We have some people on the Middle Coast as well. It's not really a coast, the middle. we have a team in Bangalore and we have a team members in London. So my day is very distributed across a number of different time zones and a number of different locations. Recently, we started working with the Hong Kong office as well. So, you know, you can imagine my day starts very early and ends very late and involves lots of conference calls. And I sort of came to the realization about 6 to 8 months ago that despite working in tech and, you know, knowing how to solve technical problems, the fundamental method of communication that we were using across all of these different time zones to collaborate was based on something invented in the 1800s, i.e. the telephone. And technology has moved so quickly since then. You know, we have computers in our pockets. It's almost Star Trek-like, or Star Trek or Star Wars-like. And we haven't really changed the fundamental tool that we use to communicate as a distributed team. We still have conference calls. God bless them, but they're just not as functional as being in a location. And as our teams start to get more and more distributed, I really want to challenge everyone to think about how can technology change fundamentally the way that we communicate with each other in a distributed fashion, almost in the same way that the telephone changed fundamentally how people communicate with each other in a distributed fashion in the 1800s.
So fascinating. Melina, talk to us about PowerToFly. You started the company to help more companies like Time Inc. hire remotely and help women work from where they're most productive. What are the biggest tech trends in the workforce today?
Well, so we've really built PowerToFly to really ride the wave of these biggest trends that we see in the workforce. So trend number one that I'd like to highlight is that the workforce of today is really looking for being a part of something meaningful, right? And they're asking for meaningful work. And, you know, part of my story is I moved here out of Europe because I felt like I was living a couple years behind and I was really wanting to be a part of this innovation economy that's happening. Well, this is the trend that I'm talking about. People really want to be a part of something that makes a difference. Number two on the trend front is we're really living at the very beginning of this, you know, flexibility generation, a generation that has, you know, been used to having a smartphone and being on the go and connected ever since they were 10 years old. And it's not just, you know, for moms, it's also for the younger kids. Like everybody's really getting into that. I'm going to be connected. I'm going to be mobile. I'm going to work wherever I am. And the second trend that we've really built around. And the last thing is that I really feel that, you know, even 20 years ago, we weren't as attuned to the issues of equality and diversity as we are today. We're kind of experiencing a small renaissance in that fashion, and so we're really asking for a workplace that's more diverse, and that means gender diversity, it means racial diversity, and it also means something I deeply personally believe in cultural and geographical diversity. And when we really have teams that are built up by, you know, a melting pot of all the different users that we're trying to serve with our global brands, we are building better products. I truly believe that.
It's super interesting because these teams that you're building are so productive, so they help both the companies and the women that you're placing. So very, very interesting. Thank you. Ryan, you're a strong advocate for data-driven design. How do you see this type of design changing the workplace today?
There certainly are a few ways that we see data sort of driving today's workforce and the way we design spaces around it. Certainly there are issues around mobility. There's thoughts around well-being and the way that we're connecting people. There are two particular ways that we've been using recently, and data is so prevalent. Let me take a sidestep. It's so prevalent we have to be careful that it's not just information, but it's actually meaningful information, which is what Melina was talking about a little bit about before, and the experiences that we're creating. So one thing we'll do is we'll look with clients to understand what type of culture they're trying to impress or to exude through their space. It almost becomes an ethos of who they are as a company. So the visibility, the transparency, or they're conserving certain relationships is incredibly important. We can use data to understand how well a design does that and help a client make choice and decision along the ways that they're creating their space. The second way is more along the notion of the friction and the hassle you have in your everyday work life. So if you think about finding the right daylight, the right acoustics, the right energy within a space, Is it dark enough? All those things factor in. We're trying to find a conference room. We're trying to find a place to work. We just unveiled kind of a project we're doing in our New York office where we install sensors every 10 feet. The idea there being that you take the data that these sensors are gathering, you link it to an app on your phone, and you know where the best place to work is. It's going to be suitable for the type of task you're taking on. There's truth in us as kind of social animals and how we connect and how we engage in the workplace, and we see data as a strong way to help us understand better how these spaces nurture that type of environment.
It'd be interesting to see how people react to the data being tracked every step in your office, but that's probably for another conversation and probably super fascinating. So, Rob, to wrap up, the hack event is a no code required hackathon, which is unique. So tell us how you bring people who are not in tech into this event.
Yeah, absolutely. And while it's a no code required, it's a coding optional hackathon. So we're definitely going to have a large number of members of the technology side of the house there. You know, there's going to be engineers, people who know how to write code. There's also going to be makers and hackers, people who can actually construct things from almost nothing. And then we're going to have designers and design thinkers. And also just people who are involved in managing or working with distributed teams. And I think that's such a great melting pot. As engineers and designers, we're often constrained by the reality of today, and that sort of restricts the ability for us to envision a future. And having people at the hackathon that have that unrestricted vision, who just do things that, or think about things that we wouldn't think are possible, and then we ask the questions, well, how can we possibly do that? Really provides this melting point of cultural aspects to the hackathon. And that's what I'm super excited for, just this great group of people from all walks of life who are basically challenged by this problem, regardless of whether they're working in a distributed environment. You know, kids go off to college, that's a distributed environment. You know, a husband and wife work in different places, that's a distributed environment. It doesn't matter whether you're managing a distributed engineering team or your kids are at boarding school. The fact that we communicate with each other while we're not physically located with each other is a thing that impacts us all, and we can all bring thoughts and theories to that space.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good point, is that we are living in a distributed world, and how can we bring all the knowledge that we have from our day-to-day lives to this hackathon will be super interesting for how the workplace will change. Can you tell us a little bit more about how to get involved in the hackathon? How can people come?
Sure. We have 3 physical locations. We have New York, Seattle, and London. And all of this information, by the way, is on our website, distributehack.com. But we're encouraging people to join the hackathon and participate with the teams, even if they're not at the physical location. It would be a little bit ironic if we organized a distributed hackathon and didn't allow distributed participation. So anyone who wants to join in, we'll have a few tricks up our sleeves as to how people can find teams and how teams can find people. There'll be a great collaborative community, and I'm hoping it'll span the globe and be the first time really a huge number of people have come together to think about and hack together in this space. The website has all the details. If you go there, there's a sign-up form. It'll allow you to submit all of your information. The physical locations we have capacity, but it's filling up incredibly rapidly, so we're running out of space. I would encourage anyone who wants to show up at one of these events to sign up now. Stop whatever you're doing, or at the end of this show, go onto the website, distributehack.com, and just enter your details. We're rapidly running out of space there. So we'd love to have you sign up, and I'm looking forward to an absolutely fantastic event that has some amazing output.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. And yes, a distributed hackathon should be good. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining in, and we'll see you at the event. Thanks. Bye.